Hello, I'm James from Dizzy Feet Dancing, and today, this video, I'm going to explain all of the dance jargon. Now, it can be quite disconcerting when you go along to a dance class, especially for the first time, and the dance teacher's in front of you, and they say things that are like another language. Well, today I'm going to explain all of those things for you to make it a bit easier for you to understand and help you to learn to dance better. So the first one, step. Now, what does this mean? Now, a step is when you step forwards on either foot, left or right, sideways or backwards, but you leave the other foot where it is. So I've stepped forward on my right foot here, but I've left my other foot where it is. Okay, so it's ready to be used. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I could go back onto it, I could move it to the side, I could walk forwards, I could even replace back and then step back again. But that is a step. So it's when one leg moves into position, but the other leg has yet to move. So just to recap, so it's when one leg moves into position and the other leg doesn't move. So the next bit of jargon I'm going to bust for you is walk. Now, walking is pretty straightforward, or it's backwards. So that literally means walking in a given direction. So either walking forwards to the camera or walking backwards away. So very simple, it's just walking. Now, some dances require you to walk with a certain style and use your feet in a certain way, but I'll come to that a little bit later on. So walking is just simply moving forward and backwards in a direction. Now, next up is close. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? So whenever you've moved in a given direction, you might be told to close your feet. And that simply means you bring the feet together. Now, it may be that you slide your feet together and stand on it, or you pick it up and place it, and it can come from a forward action, a backward action, or a sideways action. So a close is always going to finish with both feet together underneath your body, and you will always change weight when you close your feet. So, just an example, if you close your left foot to your right foot, you're now going to stand on that left foot, ready to move your right foot either forward, sideways, or backwards. And that is a close. So next up is a rock. Now, it's not a little stony thing that you might find on the floor outside. No, it's a movement that we use in dance. We have it in many dances, especially tango. Now, a rock starts when your feet are apart. So my feet are apart, and I transfer weight forward and backwards in place. I do not move my feet. I'm just transferring my weight forward and backwards. So I'm just transferring my weight forward and backwards in place from my front foot to my back foot. That is a rock. So it's quite simple, really. Just transferring forward and backwards, rocking backwards and forwards in place. Your feet do not move. Okay, so the next one we've got is a replace. Now, this one normally comes after a step, because often you'll take a step in a given direction and then you'll need to go back again where you just came from. And we call that a replace. It's when your foot slightly rises off the floor or the weight completely transfers out of the foot, but you immediately put the weight back again into the foot. So I've stepped forward on my left foot. I've already explained what a step is. But my other leg is behind me. So what I'm going to do now is just replace onto that foot, and that is a replace. I haven't moved it, it's in the same place. I've just put my weight back onto the foot, and that is a replace. You can do it forward, you can do it backwards, you can do it sideways. So I can step to the side and replace. I can step back and replace, or of course I can step forward and replace. So that's a replace. So now we've got a brush. There are many types of brush. You can brush your teeth, you can brush your hair, but we can also brush our feet. Now, a brush is a bit like a close, but you don't actually close properly, and we don't transfer our weight. So as I brush, I may have stepped to the side. This is a side step. Now this leg, rather than closing, is going to brush towards the other foot, but there's no weight in it. So I'm ready to use that foot again. So I can step forward on it, or I can step backwards on it. And I can even step back to the side again, should I want to. So that is a brush. A brush is when you close your feet without weight in the closing foot. And if you brush a foot, you're going to use that foot again. So next up is tap. Now, a tap is a bit like a brush, but instead of sliding the foot along the floor, you actually physically pick it up and place it. So again, if I've taken a side step, I've got my left leg ready here, I can then tap that foot to the side, or I can literally tap it in place. We use that on many occasions, especially in a tango. So you may well find that when you learn the tango, you'll have to tap your foot. And again, with the brush, exactly the same way, you're going to use that foot again. So now we've got a very popular step, which I'm hopefully going to bust here for you right now, a chasse. Now a chasse has 3 steps and it moves to the side. And we have it in almost all of the ballroom and Latin American dances. So a chasse can be danced to the left or it can be danced to the right. And it is simply this, side, close, side. And you will finish with your feet apart. And your weight will be on the foot in the direction that you travel. So my weight is on my left foot. Now I can immediately chasse again to the right. 1, 2, 3. And now my weight is on the right foot. So if I chasse to the left, 1, 2, 3. I finish with my weight on the left. If I chasse to the right, 1, 2, 3. I finish with my weight on the right. You don't close your feet at the end, but you do in the middle. Nice and neat and tidy, please. So now we've got the lockstep. Now the lockstep is a figure dance forward or backwards, and it's got 3 steps. So it's similar to the chasse, but the chasse moves sideways. This moves forward and backwards. And a lockstep means you cross your legs, or ankles actually. So if I was to demonstrate that for you moving forwards, I'm going to go forward on my left foot. Now I'm going to cross my right foot behind, and then I go forward on my left foot again. So temporarily on step 2, I'm not actually going anywhere. Now I can also do that backwards. I can go backwards on my right, I cross in front with my left, and then I step back on my right. So this is how we do it. So we've got forward on the left, 1, then I cross behind, 2, and then I step forward, 3. Now a lockstep can also be danced backwards, and when you step backwards into a lockstep, you can only cross in front, because it's quite impossible to cross behind when you're stepping forwards, or likewise cross in front when you're moving forwards. Many people have tried, and every one of them have failed, unfortunately. So, a lockstep is danced forward or backwards. 3 steps, crossing on the second step of the lock. So you've got 1, 2, 3, or backwards, 1, 2, 3, on either leg. That is a lockstep. So to finish off, we'll talk about how you use your feet when we dance. Now, dance teachers will always tell you about heel leads, toe leads, and that sort of thing. So, the first one is a heel lead. Now, most people walk relatively normally, I would suggest. And when you walk forward with a heel. That's how we walk. That's it. That's a heel lead. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3. That's a heel lead. You walk forward with the heel of the foot, it hits the floor, and then you roll through and move down with another heel lead. Just like walking. So, the opposite to a heel lead is a toe lead. Now, it's as simple as walking forward on a heel, but instead of that, you walk forward on your toe. So you'll normally be up on your toes, of course, and you'll go forward on the toes of your feet, like so. You can either pick them up and place them into position, or depending on the dance, you may slide them into position. So your toe is going first. So that is leading with your toe. That is what a toe lead means. So now we're moving on to a heel toe. So you've got to do 2 things on 1 foot. Not too tricky though, it's quite easy. Now we use this particular action in the waltz to create that beautiful rise and fall action that you've all seen those great dancers do. And this is how we do it. So you'll step forward on your heel, but before the next step gets into position, you will make sure that you rise up onto the toe of that foot. This step will almost always, I'm going to change that, always be followed by a toe. Okay, so I step forward on my heel, I go up onto the toe of this foot, and then the next step will always be a toe, because I'm up. When you're up, you have to come down by being up first. Okay, so that's a heel toe. It's on 1 foot. Heel toe, and then you'll follow that with a toe heel, which I'm going to explain to you. So a toe heel is when you start up on your toe, and you finish that foot with a heel, so you'll land. So you may well be walking, you could be walking, you'll do a heel toe, which means you go up on your toes. The next step will be a toe heel. So it means you will land back down onto a flat foot, which is part of rise and fall. And finally, arms. Well, let's be honest, you've got enough to be worrying about, haven't you? With all of your toe leads, your taps, your brushes, your heel leads, and all of the other jargon that I've busted for you today. So why not just check out dizzybeat.com for everything that we're up to, and dance more and worry less.